All right, my clock says 10 o'clock, so I know everybody's got things to do, so we'll go ahead and get started, and I'll call the meeting to order so we can go ahead and get a roll call and see who's here and who we might be missing. So, Daphne, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and call our roll for us.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first quarter of 2026 board meeting. Roll call begins. Wayne Bennett. I saw Mr. Bennett on. I don't know if he's having problems with his mic, but
yeah, I saw Sheriff Bennett too. So.
Yeah, I saw him here. Candace Brose. Heath Elliott. Sonia Fillingame. Joyette Holmes. Ms. Holmes did respond that she would not be attending the meeting today. Okay. So I did hear from her. Jeremy Kelly.
Here.
Tyrone Oliver.
I'm here.
Jimmy Kitchens. Chairman Queen.
I'm present.
Shawanda Reynolds Cobbs. I know Ms. Cobbs did respond that she'll be attending, so I'll be looking for her to jump on. Kevin Tanner.
I'm here.
Elizabeth Crowder. And I saw Ms. Crowder on. Okay. All right. 4, 5. So at this time, we do have enough members on for a quorum.
Great. Thank you very much, Daphne. Now, I appreciate everybody being present. All right, and we'll go ahead and call upon General Counsel James Knox for our invocation.
Let us pray. God, we thank you for this day. Thank you for your blessings. We ask now for your wisdom, your covering as we go forth in all that we do. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, James. Okay. Like I said, welcome everyone to our first quarter meeting. Appreciate everyone's attendance. We'll try to keep it brief, but we do have a new agenda item that will be presented. So we do need some board action today. So I appreciate everybody taking time to log in so we can get that taken care of. I'll go ahead and call for a motion to approve our proposed agenda for this meeting.
I'll make a motion.
All right, motion.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Mr. Tanner. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. We'll move on to approval. Review and approval our December 18th, our last meeting in 2025. You should have received that in your packets. Does anyone have any questions or comments or modifications that need to be made to the minutes of our last meeting? All right, great. Hearing none, I'll wait for a recommendation to approve the minutes as presented.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Thank you, Sheriff Bennett. And a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Oliver. And all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Yeah.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll have those minutes from the last meeting approved. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to our commissioner and committee reports and start with Commissioner Nell or Chief of Staff Maurer.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, again, and board members. I will be reporting out today for the commissioner's report. I certainly appreciate that opportunity to share a few things with you that we have going on. I'll be brief in my comments and yield most of my time to our deputy commissioners to share some information from their respective divisions. But as many of you are probably aware, today is legislative day, I believe 34. It has been a busy session for us, both on the budget side of things, as well as covering some bills that could potentially impact the agency. And so we've been tracking a number of those bills. Several of them did not make it through crossover day, but there's been a couple that have. We'll certainly make sure that the board is aware of any bills as they progress that we do feel like might have an impact or will have a major impact on the agency. To note that the ones right now that we're tracking that we will probably have the greatest impact are our sex offender bill related to homeless sex offenders and the ability to put them on electronic monitoring. Of course, there's the retirement bill that the governor has introduced. There's another bill that we're currently tracking that impacts the jail credit time that people sitting in jail waiting on revocations get credit for that time that they awaiting a revocation hearing. And then there was another jail subsidy bill that I specifically want to talk about briefly that took our staff quite a bit of time to gather information and data. And it wasn't just from our legislative liaison, Philip Henson, who has done a tremendous amount of work this session on all the bills, but specifically that one. And I want to thank him, but also the field staff that had to pull data for that bill from every county jail across the state. It just during session, when some of these bills are introduced, it just takes a lot of effort from a lot of people across the agency in order to make sure that people are the legislators have the information and the data they need to make informed decisions. And so I wanted to take an opportunity to thank those staff because it has been a particularly busy session for them. And again, Philip Henson has done a tremendous job, but it impacts the entire agency. So I wanted to take an opportunity to thank those staff. And on the budget side, our budget journey this year has been somewhat up and down, I guess. We've had, where we thought we had the budget was running smoothly, and then there was some proposals to cut some funding. And so I want to thank Olivia Duke and all the budget staff for the hard work that they have put into this year's session and making sure that not only are we prepared for those budget hearings, but making sure that our analysts on both the Senate and the House side have the information that they need to make budget decisions. It's been a busy session for them as well. So I want to make sure that we recognize them for the work that they've done. I believe last time we met, I mentioned a Correctional Leadership Association meeting that Michael and I were attending. And so that first initial meeting for CLA and the probation and parole leaders across the country was very successful. So we are having a second meeting actually next week. And so myself, Michael, as well as Michelle Stanley and Bert Flow will be attending that meeting and looking forward to being able to meet with our counterparts across the country and share ideas and information that impact us from both the state perspective and a national perspective. I believe we also, last time we mentioned that the American Probation and Parole Association was hosting their conference this year in Atlanta, or the winter conference in Atlanta. That was a great success, and Michelle Stanley will be sharing a little bit more information about that particular conference in her update. But I did want to thank Michelle specifically for her work and her contribution to making that conference a success. When we found out that it was coming to Atlanta, we asked Michelle if she would run point on APPA, and she graciously accepted and did a phenomenal job with APPA, as well as a number of the partners we have on this call from corrections and DJJ, parole. It was a group effort. Michelle, certainly from a DCS perspective, represented us well and made sure that that APPA was a great success. So thank you, Michelle. Just briefly, I want to touch on turnover. We continue to have relatively low turnover. It is currently just under 7%. By comparison, in previous years, that number is generally around 13%. And so, like I mentioned last time, that's a great problem to have, but it does create some budget challenges at times. But the majority of those promotions, or I'm sorry, a lot of that turnover is due to retirements. And retirements are, we hate to lose the knowledge that goes out the door when somebody retires, but at the same time, people, as mentioned earlier, people truly deserve to be able to get to that point in their career where they can retire comfortably after 25 or 30 or 30 plus years of service. And so today we are actually, a number of the people on the call are on our way down to Forsyth to Gypstick to celebrate Trent Switcord's retirement. He has over 30 years of service with DCS. He's played a critical role to the agency for a good portion of those years. He served in special operations and on task forces and over task forces. So we certainly want to recognize Trent for his contributions to the agency, congratulate him on his retirement. We hate to see him go, but he's certainly deserving of a long, successful retirement. So, and then actually, that concludes my remarks. I will certainly answer any questions if there are any. Otherwise, I will turn it over to Tim, Bert, and Michelle.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. Any board member have any questions or comments for Scott? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the committee reports, starting with the operations report from Deputy Commissioner Llewellyn. Good morning, Bert.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's good to be here with you today to share a few updates from the operations division since the last time we spoke. Since our last meeting, we conducted a very large statewide gang operation that involved 50 of our circuits, and that was coordinated by a task force officer and our statewide gang coordinator, Andrew Jerem. The operation was very successful. We had 373 searches with contraband found in 117 of those searches. We made 112 arrests and it seized 43 firearms. Those arrests included 48 probation violations, 47 new criminal charges, and 12 arrests involving individuals not under supervision. This effort reflected a strong statewide coordination and our continued focus on accountability and public safety. We also had several big personnel changes. Tyler Denham, he was promoted to our body-worn camera and intelligence manager. Jeff Roars was promoted to peer support team coordinator. Craven Goodman was promoted to West Side Deputy Director. Franklin Roebuck was promoted to District Director, and Travis Rucker transferred to the Western Circuit. Brandy Lumpkin was also selected as Chief in Rockdale. So we're very happy for all these individuals and these well-deserved promotions. In operations, we added a Spanish language reporting line to the centralized reporting unit to better serve our Spanish-speaking supervisees. And we've also begun preparations for what we believe will be a significant role in the World Cup security. So we're working on that now as well. We're also proud of some recognition received by our staff. Assistant Chief Crystal Moore was named the Moultrie Rotary Club Law Enforcement Officer of the Year. And CSO Tracy Whitaker was recognized by the Georgia House of Representatives as the department's 2025 Officer of the Year. In addition, we had 20 officers attended the Law Enforcement Appreciation Day at the Capitol. And on the reentry side, Michelle's going to tell you about what we did at APPA, but we also held a large resource fair in the Eastern Circuit that had 40 attendees and 18 vendors. Looking ahead, we're preparing for Second Chance Month in April, and we have additional reentry fairs planned across the state. So, Mr. Chairman and the board, that concludes my report, barring any questions.
Great. Thank you, Bert. Appreciate that report and all those
Yes,
great successes. Anyone have any questions for Deputy Commissioner Llewellyn?
I would just like to echo it's great to hear a very positive report and to hear all the success that's going on in the state with these folks and the retirees. I wish them well in retirement, and I'm sure it's well deserved by each and every one of them. And thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Sheriff Bennett. Appreciate those comments. Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to the administration report and Deputy Commissioner Stanley. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, board chair, members of the board. Great to see you all. I have just a few updates this morning from administration. As you know, we remain deeply committed to our professional development and intentional organization planning, not as a routine exercise, but as a strategic priority that ensures our long-term strength and stability. So earlier this year in January, we conducted a comprehensive workforce analysis. What we discovered was very significant. We have 44% of our managers that are either currently eligible to retire or will retire within the next 3 years. It challenged us to think differently about how we prepare for that next generation of leaders. It pushed us to be proactive, not reactive, and most importantly, it reminded us that leadership continuity is not something we can leave to chance. In response to that, our senior management team leaned in, and during our recent offsite, they engaged in a focused succession planning training, an experience that not only sparked meaningful dialogue, but also reinforced our collective commitment to develop talent from within. Because of its impact, we're now taking that momentum statewide. This week, Bert and myself launched our first session in Rome, and over the next coming months, we will bring this training to managers across the state through 6 additional sessions. This is how we lead forward, with intention, with urgency, and with a shared vision for the future. The Bureau of Justice Statistics serves as our national authority for capturing and reporting data on population for probation and parole across all states. This also includes tracking entries and exits, community supervision trends, prison admissions, and parole movement, also through that National Corrections Reporting Program. Our research and data analysis team plays a critical role in this effort. They ensure that our agency data is accurately analyzed, reported, and aligned with national standards, position us as a reliable and transparent contributor to this data set. In addition, this team also continues to advance our commitment to transparency by developing and maintaining interactive dashboards that supports us both internally and externally for our stakeholder engagement. As Scott alluded to, I'm proud to share a powerful snapshot of what our agency accomplished on the national stage during the American Probation and Parole Conference held in March. We had the distinct honor to serve as that host state alongside our valuable partners, the Board of Pardons and Parole, Department of Juvenile Justice, and the Department of Correction, giving us an opportunity to showcase our unified commitment to advancing the field of community corrections and supervision. From the very beginning, our agency set the tone. Our very own commissioner opened the conference as a plenary speaker with a dynamic and memorable message on leadership. Can I get some situational sauce with those leadership nuggets? Reminding attendees that leadership is not a one-size-fits-all. Through practical insight, he challenged leaders to adapt their approach, to remain grounded in their personal mission, and to lead effectively through complexity and change. It was a message that resonated deeply and equipped attendees with strategies they could immediately apply. Throughout the Training Institute, our team didn't just participate, we volunteered as well as we led. We shared innovative practices and real-world strategies through our driven outcomes across our agency. In one session, Bridging the Gap for Better Outcomes, Jatanya Lowry Poole and Taylor McDowell from the Operations Support Division, along with our partner Michelle Saunders from CIT International, highlighted how we're strengthening responses to individuals experiencing mental health challenges through crisis intervention team approaches. We are equipping our officers with skills to respond effectively, to collaborate across systems, and ultimately to improve outcomes for those we serve. In another shop, we use science of implementation to identify and address barriers to effective supervision. We was able to demonstrate how we're using the science of implementation to move beyond planning into action, leveraging data, research, and evidence-based practices to address barriers, to reduce officer stress, and to enhance supervisions through initiatives like our Enhanced Supervision Program. That workshop was facilitated by Dr. Nick Powell and Bria Cross from Strategic Planning and Analysis, along with our partners for the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. We also showcase how we're transforming the way our story was told by empowering frontline staff to serve as trusted voices in their community. Through our District Public Information Officer Program, we're building stronger connections, increasing transparency, and developing the next generation of leaders with a broader organizational perspective. That workshop was titled Developing a Network of Frontline Spokespersons, and it was led by External Affairs Division Public Information Officer Andrew Hauser and Public Relations Manager Jamel Washington. Additionally, we had the opportunity to close out a portion of the Institute with an empowering and impactful discussion focused on women leadership, centered on financial confidence, personal branding, and building a support system necessary for sustainable success. And that was hosted by Executive Operations Director Shantae Porter, as well as myself. So lastly, we ended this conference in the exhibit hall with something powerful, a career resource fair that directly touched lives. Under the leadership of Carolyn Johnson and Mary Elliott from our Reentry Services Division, we brought together collectively with our partners 50 dedicated career and resource providers, all united around one purpose: creating opportunity for our adult and juvenile population. They had access to on-site job interviews. They connected with resources designed to remove real barriers barriers that we know that often stand in the way of that successful reentry and that long-term community stability. And in that space, we didn't just talk about second chances, we created them. Collectively, these efforts reflected who we are as an agency, innovative, collaborative, and deeply committed to growth, both for our workforce and for those we serve. Team DCS, as well as our partners at DJJ, GDC, and Parole, did a phenomenal job representing the great work going on in Georgia on a national platform. Mr. Board Chair, members of the board, barring there are no questions for me, that would conclude my report. Sorry.
Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. And I'll just add, I attended APPA. I thought it was fantastic, great DCS and corrections and DJJ representation there, and great training provided not only by the staff from our state, but also other agencies in other states too. So thank you for your efforts with that.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Michelle?
Mr. Chairman, this is Board Member Fillingame, and I'll just underscore that, you know, we talk a lot about the external work, which is so important to our charge, but the internal work is too. And so to know that you guys are on top of succession planning, for example, you know, with all the institutional knowledge, I'm facing that right now in my fire department. And so to know that we're proactive with it, it says a lot. And not only that, the branding that we see and the promotion of the agency and being, you know, having a seat at every table nationally. Those things are all important when we're talking about lifting our state up and making sure that we're seated at every table. We're seated at every table. So I want to say thank you for that work. You know, we thank you a lot for the external piece of what we do, but we know that we're able to do that because of the internal work in our team and investing in our team and the women in leadership initiatives that you guys have. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Sonny. Appreciate those comments. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to our misdemeanor probation oversight report. I don't believe I saw Mr. Lewis.
I'm here, sir.
There you are, sir. Good to see you this morning. Sneaking
The
in.
light shining off the head probably somehow or another kept me
Well,
from being.
that's why I have my lights turned off here, brother.
Yes, I understand. I understand. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, fellow board members. It's good seeing you all today. Thank you for this opportunity. Currently, there are 66 entities registered. 53 of those are governmental agencies and 13 private companies operating here in the state. At this time, there are 851 individuals registered working within the misdemeanor system. Our team of compliance monitors have started the review procedures for the year and are making steady progress. I'm proud of the professional manner by which our team performs these duties. In any scenario such as ours, where a group of individuals are reviewing the work product performance of others, there's always the chance for confusion or frustration for all involved. So I'm thankful for our team and how they conduct themselves. And I also want to commend all the misdemeanor agency directors and their management team members for their professionalism and responses during the compliance review process. Also accomplished this quarter, Daphne, whom you all know wears many hats. Daphne has completed the annual entity registration renewal process for 2026 and has generated all the certificates for each of the providers. Reginald Hewley has kicked off our training program for the year and so far has held 60 sessions to date and with a total attendance of 1,109 participants. As shared in previous reports, our virtual training program sessions continue to be very popular and are preferred by the providers, but we also continue to pursue in-person sessions across the state and hosting meetings at GIPSTIC for agency directors and their management teams. Our next in-person training day will be in Winder on April the 22nd. We want to thank Winder Chief of Police Jim Fullington and Probation Director Tim Harrell for their support hosting a day of training there annually since our training program began back in 2017. Our next directors meeting is scheduled for May the 12th at 10 a.m. at GIPSTIC. We're excited to have Dr. Billy Mixon, the director of the Command College at Columbus State, joining us as a guest presenter. If any of you would like to join us, you're certainly cordially invited to do so. Also, I want to mention that Kim Wood has completed the annual in-service training review for 2025 with no concerns. This concludes my report, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to respond to any questions you or the board may have.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Tim Lewis? Fantastic. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, next item is old business. I don't see any listed, nor do I recall any, unless any other board member does. We'll move on to new business, and I'll turn this matter over to Mr. Knox to present to the board.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, board members. We have before you a resolution that has been brought to us based on a request from the Department of Transportation under the advisement of State Properties Commission. The Department of Transportation is widening a bridge that will impact our Clarksville office. We do not own that space, but we are leasing the space. Therefore, they've asked us to do a quit claim deed, but based upon the advice of SPC. So this resolution is to give the authority to our commissioner to sign the quit claim deed and whatever actions need to be taken to further the Department of Transportation's project.
Okay. Thank you, James. Does any board member have any questions or comments about this resolution before we proceed to a vote? Seems pretty straightforward. Doesn't look like there's any department monies involved or anything like that. So, okay. Well, if no one has any questions or comments, I'll open the matter up for a motion to approve.
I move we approve as presented. Second.
Second. Who is the second from? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Sheriff Kelly.
Thank you, Sheriff Kelly. And I'll call the matter for a vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the matter is approved. And that'll be circulated for signature, I'm sure, and we'll get that concluded. Okay?
Yes, sir. If the board members would watch for their emails, we'll have it circulated to each board member that is present today for your signature electronically.
Thank you, James. We'll be watching out for that. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, very good. I hope everyone enjoys their spring. You know, good weather is around the corner, and we will see you all at the next meeting. I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much for your attendance today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.